everybody, welcome back to another episode of The David Dialogue, where I, Evan David, share with you some truths from the Bible and pop culture. So let's go. Dr. Seuss's The Lorax is a beloved children's book about saving the environment. Within its pages, a magical, mustachioed Seussian creature tries to convince a being known only as the Onceler not to chop down trees for his own selfish ends. In the film adaptation, this simple tale is fleshed out and expanded upon. The film opens up on the walled-in utopian town of Thneedville, a place of comfort, convenience, and complete apathy about the state of the world in which they live. In fact, hardly anyone notices that there are no trees anywhere. Few even remember that there were trees in the first place. However, when Ted's crush tells him that one of her deepest wishes is to see a real tree, he suddenly becomes very interested in where all the trees went. He learns that the only one who really knows is named the Onceler, and he lives outside of town. Ted ventures outside the wall and soon discovers not all is as it seems. The town in which he lives might look great from within inside the wall, but outside, it's a wasteland, desolate and dead. When he finds the Onceler tells Ted the story of how things got to be the way they are, how one little compromise after another eventually snowballed into the ruin of the entire world. It then becomes up to Ted to do something about it, to venture back into his town and tell the people what they've been too blind to see, to show them how far they've fallen, and to preach repentance for their apathetic and selfish lifestyles, and to turn back toward the right path. Oh, wait a second, did this just become about revival? How did that happen? When I first saw the Lorax, I was amazed to find that one could pull a surprising amount of sermon illustrations from what on the surface appears to be a leftist, progressive, tree-hugging film. Now, let's get this out of the way. I call it leftist and progressive because it makes no apologies for what it's trying to do, which is preach the save the trees gospel. This film and the book it's based on are just straight up tree-hugging propaganda. But I'm okay with that in this instance, because let's be honest, being good stewards of our planet was one of the first things God called us to do as humans. Planting more trees and taking care of the ones we have is not a bad message at all, actually. I recognize that you can take environmentalism too far, and I really don't like it when the environmentalist agenda is shoehorned into a movie to try and subliminally influence you toward the cause. But since this movie is just upfront about the message they're trying to deliver, they're not trying to sneak it in there, it is just there. I'm fine with it. That being said, with barely any mental gymnastics on the part of the Christian, the environmental messages and aspects of the film can easily be seen as metaphors for the spiritual condition of our own souls. And when looking through that lens, The Lorax quickly becomes one of the most well-produced films about revival and spiritual awakening ever made. Just look at some of the songs. And yes, it is a musical. And that's a good thing. In the song Thneedville, the residents sing about how they're so contented with the ignorant, backslidden, and irresponsible lives they lead. In the song How Bad Can I Be, the Onceler tries to justify his moral compromises to himself. And in the song Let It Grow, the citizens of Thneedville finally see the light and sing about how they intend to change the way they live. When you think about these songs and this film from a spiritual, Christ-centered perspective, it's a whole new movie. Even a song lyric as skewed in its thinking as plant a seed inside the earth, just one way to know its worth, let's celebrate the world's rebirth. It takes on a whole new meaning when you remember what Jesus said about the sower and the seeds and the need to be born again to enter the kingdom of heaven. Through beautiful animation, excellent songs, funny jokes, a beautiful soundtrack, and a thoughtful script, The Lorax transforms into a powerful and impactful film when viewed through the goggles of revival. So I encourage you to check it out, and not just for your kids either. The message can be just as powerful for those of us who are full grown if we come to it with the right heart attitude, seeking Jesus.